And I do invite everyone to, is this mine?
It can be.
Oh, okay, I'll
Yes,
share it with you.
yeah, no, it's fine.
We're going to call to order our Board of Directors meeting for Wednesday, August 27th, 2025 at 9 a.m. We are here in person at 1441 Schilling Place in Salinas in the Cayenne Room. We are also on Zoom, open to the public. We are also remotely available at 168 West Alisal on the second floor in the District 1 Monterey County Supervisor's Office. I believe that is our only other remote location today.
Correct.
So with that, let's do a quick call to order and quorum check. District 1 Supervisor.
Linda Gonzalez, alternate.
District 2 Supervisor Church.
Present.
District 3 Supervisor Lopez.
Present.
District 4.
Supervisor Askew.
Present.
District 5 Supervisor Daniels. City of Carmel by the Sea. City of Delray Oaks. City of Gonzales. City of Greenfield. City of King City. City of Marina. City of Monterey. City of Monterey. Yeah. City of Pacific Grove. City of Salinas. City of Sand City. City of Seaside. City of Soledad. Ambag.
Present.
Caltrans District 5.
Present.
Monterey Bay Air Resource District.
Here.
Monterey Regional Airport District. Monterey Salinas Transit.
Here.
City of Watsonville. CSUMB.
Present.
Chair, we do have a quorum.
Fantastic, thank you. We'll go right along to our Pledge of Allegiance. And I am going to invite Carl Sidoric from MC to lead us in the pledge this morning. This way, Carl.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Really? All right, who knew? Okay, with that, we'll move right along to public comments. Public comments is a chance for anyone from the public to address the board on items that are not on the agenda, but are within the jurisdiction of this board. We'll allow 2 minutes for any member of the public to make comment. We'll start here in the chambers with us, and we have Eric with us today for public comment. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. My name is Eric Stevenson, and a couple weeks ago, the Transportation Agency for Portland issued a press release about how they are going to embark on a waypoints program. Why do I bring up Portland? Well, because several years ago, TAMC implemented something like that, and go ahead, turn it on. I bellow. I hope you all heard me. The Army taught me a lot of things. But anyway, several years ago, TAMC already implemented a similar program for Monterey County. And it's kind of nice to have the local agency several years ahead of the #2 bicycle community in the United States. And it's just a kind of a testament to Todd and the entire TAMC staff about the job they do. Also, second thing, a few weeks ago, Sand City had a dynamite bicycle race. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Anyone else for public comment here in chambers or online? And I can't, oh, is this our hands? Oh, we do have hands online. Okay, let's see here. We have Jason Rederer. We'll go to you next. And you should be able to unmute.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can, thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, I'm Jason Rederer on behalf of JRG Attorneys at Law. I represent Monterey Motors, which is one of the seaside businesses that lease a portion of the railroad right-of-way that TAMC owns.
Monterey Motors operates the Volvo, Jaguar, and Land Rover dealership. My comments relate to Sand City's proposed multi-use trail and parking lot project that has been designed to occupy the entire 1 mile stretch of the right-of-way. When Sand City presented this project to your board, I think it was back in February 2024, the representative promised that their proposed trail design would, quote, minimize conflict with existing property leases. That comment's reflected in the board's minutes from its February 2024 meeting. Unfortunately, the design that the City Council approved in June does the opposite and will essentially eliminate the ability of my client to utilize the right-of-way, which currently accommodates about 100 for-sale and rental cars. The design that was presented to the TAMC board is also different than the one that the council approved in June. Like the other businesses, the use of a portion of the right-of-way is an integral part of my client's business, and it's essential to their ongoing operation. TAMC actually recognized as much when it approved the alignment of the Fort Ord Regional Trail and Greenway project. Rather than running the regional trail right down the right-of-way in between all the businesses, the Monterey Coastal Trail runs along the ocean side of Highway 1 in Sand City, which seems to be the logical alignment and route. So therefore, we would respectfully request that the board agendize a future update from Sand City regarding the current design, so TAMC can weigh in and is aware of its impact on the existing lessees. And we would encourage Sand City to pursue alternative designs that minimize impacts on the existing leases. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your comments, Jason. Is there any other public comment? I did see Dwight's hand raised briefly. Dwight, are you still with us, and would you like to make public comment?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me okay?
We can, thank you.
I did not see anything on the agenda today about Highway 68 adaptive. I did have a concern as to why TAMC continues to post misleading statements on their website that conflicted with what Todd verbally described to board members in the last meeting. That if successful, AI adaptive would be permanent versus what was posted, adaptive will remain in place until roundabouts are constructed. That is why I sent a letter to the board on Monday, and lo and behold, that post was deleted yesterday. So obviously someone on staff read the letter. Hopefully the new website information will be totally truthful and accurate and very visible to the public. We were told that the main reason for delaying a website update on adaptive for the last 5 months was that the co-op agreement between Caltrans and TAMC is still not completed. So why is this simple agreement taking so long? I cannot get answers from either agency, even after numerous inquiries. Why is there also not a written update for the public by Caltrans on this project like they do for other District 5 projects? The installation date for adaptive was originally scheduled for September, and yet the purchase of the equipment has still not been completed. Why the delay? I was told in an August 12th email from Caltrans that, quote, we will be delivering a more comprehensive update at the next TAMC board meeting, end quote. Well, that is today, so hopefully it will happen and will include a detailed timeline for the agreement, product purchase, installation completion, and initial operation. Every day that this project is delayed means that 30,000 Monterey commuters will not experience the benefits of this technology, and TAMC will continue to spend more taxpayer money on designing and testing roundabouts. Thank you, and I look forward to getting some answers today.
Thank you, Dwight. Thank you for your comments. And I do believe we did receive your letter in our, I know I saw it, and I'm not recalling exactly where it was presented, but we did receive it. It was sent out to all of us.
It was emailed to the board.
It was emailed to the board. Thank you, Todd. So thank you for your communication and for your comment today. Okay, is there any other public comment with us? If you're online, you'll need to raise your hand. If you're in person, you'll need to approach the dais. I'm not seeing any other hands raised, and I'm not seeing any other folks approaching. So we're going to close public comment, and we will continue on. I'm going to use this opportunity during public comment just to briefly introduce one of our members of the audience today. Roger Martinez from Vasquez and Company is with us. Would you like to introduce yourself? Yeah, come on up. We'll use public comment for this purpose. Roger is representing our new auditor, audit company. I, as board chair, had the opportunity to have a conversation and just answer some questions, but invited Roger to come observe our board meeting and wanted to give you a chance to introduce yourself and share your contact information just in case anyone else wanted to chat. So thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. First of all, thank you for selecting our firm to be your new auditors for the upcoming years. We're excited. As a reminder, we work with management, but we work for the board. And ultimately, we're helping you with meet your fiduciary responsibilities. Our audit is going to be started. It had actually started already. It is a risk-based audit that is controls-driven, and we look forward to reporting back to you in a few months on the results of the audit. Overall, thank you once again, and we look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. With that, let's move on to our consent agenda. Is there any items to pull for consent? Is there any?
I just had a comment for
Yep.
3.4.6.
3.4.6?
I don't need it both.
Okay,
I would like to pull 3.4.6.
to pull for comment or separate vote? For comment? Okay, is there any, let's go to, so those are just for comment. Let's go to the members of the public for any public comment on our consent agenda. Is there any public comment on our consent agenda this morning? I'm not seeing any hands raised and I'm not seeing anyone in chambers. All right, let's bring it back to the board. We'll do public comment here and here. So,
No, I just want to express my thanks to TAMC on this art installation funding for King City. These things really make a lot in our small communities, and using Soul Treasures, it is the hub of arts in our community. So I'm just very happy to see that happen. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you. And I think for me, I want to say it's a great project as well. But I wasn't aware that we can use the ATP funds for the purpose of planning and to be able to form a steering committee, which I think is great. So if we can get more clarity on the planning of the ATP utilization. I know Soledad, we're in the process of updating our general plan, incorporating public art, which we've been doing, and our public spaces and incorporation of our safe school design policies. And we would appreciate the opportunity to be able to expand the concept of the King City project to South Monterey County, because we don't have a lot of nonprofits like Soul Treasures in our region. So I think it's a great opportunity to be able to have that expansion, to be able to partner for our South County cities that want to do the same, to be able to expand that sidewalk project with that private project throughout our smaller communities. Since we are trying to do something similar, is how do we make sure that we can broaden that scope? So.
Can we respond?
yeah, sure, that'd be great.
Thank you. I just wanted to note that the King City Active Transportation Grant included a non-infrastructure component, and several of the ATP grants that have been awarded in Monterey County included a non-infrastructure component to the award that TAMC has partnered with the city to implement. And we found, talking to Ariana Green, who manages these programs, that having an art component in an active transportation project really helps engage the community and brings the community together to talk about what we're focused on, which is the safety of the mobility of kids getting to school. So it's a really successful component of the project. So thank you. We'll work with Soledad on your application for next year.
And I thought, comment, if I may, Chair, I know that one of your, and I can't remember the name, but on one of the comments, one of the trips, somebody went to one of the, I think it was in Washington, D.C., one of the reports, and there was actually a little pamphlet that came back that talked about sidewalk art and children creating spaces and sidewalks for children, which I thought was just really amazing for this specific component. So thank you.
Great, thank you for the comments. With that, we'll entertain a motion for consent.
Motion to approve? Sorry.
I thought I heard someone. Okay, we've got a motion from Labar and a second from Smith. I heard someone over here, but we'll go LeVar and Smith, and then we'll come back over here for the next one. Okay, and we'll do a roll call vote.
District 1 Supervisor Alejo. District 2 Supervisor Church.
Aye.
District 3 Supervisor Lopez. District 4 Supervisor Askew.
Aye.
District 5 Supervisor Daniels. City of Carmel by the Sea. City of Delray Oaks. City of Gonzales. City of Greenfield. City of King City. City of Monterey. City of Pacific Grove. City of Salinas. City of Sand City. City of Soledad. Share the motion passes.
Fantastic. Thank you all. Moving right along, we have one of our highlights of our meetings is to present our Transportation Agency Employee of the Quarter to Amelia Conlin, and we'll pass it to Todd to make that presentation.
Thank you. Let me read the proclamation. It is hereby certified that Amelia Cohen, Senior Transportation Planner, has been selected by our colleagues at the Transportation Agency for Monterey County as the Employee of the Quarter for April 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2025. The agency employees recognize Amelia for her professionalism, diligence, positive attitude, and most notably for her excellent work on the North Monterey County Safe Routes to Schools plan, and for taking the lead on Asana project management software onboarding and staff training. On behalf of the Board of Directors and staff of the Transportation Agency for Monterey County, it is our great pleasure to recognize Amelia Cohen for exemplary service.
I do think it's really cool that we do the Employee of the Quarter here at TAMC, and that it's a selection of from the colleagues. So it's one of the ways that the folks that you work with get a chance to say like, no, we really think you're doing phenomenal work. So what an honor and way to be called out by the people that you work with, that the work that you're doing has value and is seen by those that are working with you closest. So congratulations. Yeah, and just we also really appreciate the work that you're doing, and it is making our neighborhood safer for families and kids. And so thank you, and keep up the great work. We really, really value having you on our collective team. So yeah, thank you. All right.
Sure, could any? can I make a
Please,
comment?
yeah, either comment. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to really compliment Amelia. We worked with her for the last, how long has it been now? On the North County Safe Route to Schools, but can't remember how long it's been, but she's always professional. She's always friendly. She's kept us well informed. My entire office is really grateful of the work that she did. And I'm, overall, that whole program, I'm just really impressed with, because it lets people at the local level decide how to spend tax dollars. And I think it's really groundbreaking. I think it's really unique. I think it really does something that we've lost a lot of in all levels of government. And that is just that connection to people, a direct connection for something that really helps them and gets them deeply involved. Things get sometimes too bureaucratic. People don't understand what's happening, but in this particular program, and it's a great program by TAMC, and you got a great person running it, is that it just brings government to the people, and that's what this is all about. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, with that, we will move. Oh, I guess we public comment. Any other public comment on this item? We'll open it up. Seeing no hands raised, we'll close public comment and move on to our next item. Thank you. Okay, so our next item is actually really, really it's kind of a big deal. And I'm so glad that everyone's here today for this. So item number 5 is our State Route 156 Castroville Boulevard Interchange project. And we have another special guest here with us today. So I'm going to introduce our California Transportation Chair, Darnell Grisby, who's joining us today to present some funds that we've been awarded through the California Transportation Commission. And we'll also have a presentation from Michael Zeller. But before we go to all of that, I would like to read some information about Darnell, who's joining us to present this check today. Chair Grisby was appointed to the commission by Governor Newsom in March of 2021 as a representative to serve on the commission. Chair Grisby is a nationally recognized social impact leader who champions upward mobility by advancing policies that promote social justice through economic opportunity, environmental stewardship. He serves as a senior fellow at the Beneficial State Foundation, where he leads programs that support economic mobility through transportation and financial justice. He spent 9 years as Director of Policy Development and Research at the American Public Transportation Association, where he helped protect public transportation from budget cuts and assist cities around the nation pursuing local transit ballot initiatives. And showcasing the economic power of transportation investments. Mr. Grisby, or Chair Grisby, I should say, served as Legislative Director and Senior Advisor in the California State Legislature and Government Affairs before working at Reconnecting America, which is a think tank devoted to smart growth. Chair Grisby has been quoted and featured in the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the National Public Radio, and Bloomberg, among many other outlets. And we're so honored and pleased to be able to celebrate this significant investment of CTC dollars here in North Monterey County on a project that we have been working on for a really long time. So with that, I'm not sure how we want to go through. We'll bring Chair Grisby up to the front to say, and I'm going to pass it to Todd for our next steps.
If we let Chair Grisby say a few words,
All
and then
right.
we'll get together for a photo opportunity.
Okay, and then we have some action to take too, but yes.
All right, pleasure to be here. Pleasure to see folks I've known for a while. Hey, Carl. Good morning, everyone. As mentioned, I'm chair of the California Transportation Commission. On behalf of the commission, I'd like to congratulate TAMC and Caltrans for this exciting achievement. The project is a great example of the power of multimodal investments, particularly those envisioned by our SB1 programs to fund transportation solutions that improve safety, reduce costs for travelers, and create jobs. This project is located in the region's largest agricultural distribution center and is a critical access point for tourists visiting the Monterey Peninsula. The commission is pleased to be a funding partner on this important project by awarding $90.6 million from 2 SB1 programs, $80.3 million from our Trade Corridor Enhancement Program to improve the ability of us to move freight throughout our state to maintain our economic edge, $10.3 million from the Local Partnership Competitive Program to help fund this project as well. These SB1 funds leverage an additional $45.5 million from federal, regional, and local sources. And this project illustrates what can be accomplished when state, local, and federal partners all work together for a shared vision. And now on behalf of the California Transportation Commission, I'd like to present a check.
Or come up into the center here where we can take a group photo, that would be great.
And Chair Grisby, we would be happy to receive that check. So thank you.
The check happens to be here.
Excellent.
Okay, and I'm wondering if you would mind autographing. Okay, let's go over to the corner. Yeah, yeah, because the lighting. Yeah, yeah.
So close it.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, look at this beautiful bird. All right, we're gonna take several photos. All right, so let's start with this. And we're going to stay there. Here's one more camera. Stay here.
All right, so congratulations. And that's a lot of hard work to get here. They just wanted to set the signature. The big conversation will be in the next meeting. They had no choice.
Hopefully I can finish my turn. Commenting to my wife, if I need any more psych.
Able to stay, just project manager, do a presentation on the status of the project. Okay, we're gonna adopt next time.
Great, I'll be here for a little bit.
Thank you. Cool.
Congratulations.
So before we move too far on this, I think we do have a presentation.
Yes.
Yep, and we still need to actually take action to accept this big check. So.
Chad Starr, the Caltrans project manager, is going to present on the status of the project and show us how it's going to get delivered.
All right. Thank you, Todd. Good morning, everyone. My name is Chad Storr, Caltrans District 5 Project Management North. I am the project manager for the Castroville Boulevard Interchange project. And I've got an act to follow there with the presentation of that check. So I'm going to hopefully do right by that. As I had mentioned, State Route 156 Castroville Boulevard Interchange. I wanted to take a moment just to first see if I can get the clicker to activate here. Sometimes it takes a moment, I think. Let's see here. Oh, that might be it. There we go. Cool. So I want to take a moment to give everyone kind of an overview, remind everyone of what it is that we're trying to achieve, trying to build out there with the interchange. You can see this is kind of a project overview, zoomed out version of the layout of the project. You can see a roundabout supported interchange that in a simplified kind of condensed summary will remove the existing at-grade intersection that you see in the lower left there. I'll get to the blue and the red star in a moment, but to talk a little bit more about the overview, these three roundabouts, two on the north side of 156, one on the south side of 156. The two furthest south support the overcrossing, as well as the on and off ramps in both directions. You'll see we'll be experiencing a relative realignment of Castroville Boulevard so that the interchange can support that roadway. And then that existing at-grade intersection will result in Castroville Boulevard in a loop around fashion dead end right there for all intents and purposes. Couple things to note that we've talked about before on the project is that when this project is complete, we know that North Monterey County High School is up to the upper right. We've got these other neighborhoods in the vicinity and then Castroville proper on your left. There's an existing pedestrian overcrossing that goes over the railroad. This project will result in a little over a mile of multi-use path, 10-foot in width, that will support both bicyclists, pedestrians, that sort of use, alternative transportation, et cetera, as part of the project. Fully supported with ADA curb ramps, continuous paths of travel, et cetera. So this is kind of a project overview. The blue and the red stars that you can see there, which are basically indicators of photos that were taken at that existing at-grade intersection that will be removed as part of this project. So you can see the blue star indicates viewing east on State Route 156 of that existing intersection, and then turning right back around and looking west at that same intersection. So to give you an idea what's there existing, which I'm sure we're all aware of, and then what will be removed and replaced with the roundabout supported interchange. So current status on the project. I know it's been a while here since I provided an in-depth update, but currently we are working, and when I say we, I say the Caltrans Project Development Team, or PDT, in final design and right-of-way phases of the project, which we refer to as phase 1 and phase 2 associated with a project of this nature. We're currently working on the development of final utility relocation plans with third-party utility companies. There are an extensive amount of utilities that are going to have to be relocated as part of this project. We've talked about those before. The right-of-way and survey teams are working on appraisals and acquisitions associated with the utility relocation. So just to get a little bit more in depth on that, utility relocation, there's permanent easements, temporary easements that are needed to get that work done. We worked with the utilities, got the limits of those easements, and then those affect private property owners. And so we are right now at this moment essentially on the cusp of embarking on that appraisal and acquisition process. It's actually in process for all intents and purposes right now. A lot of items happening in a parallel path with regards to the project. So our design team, which is also a division of that project development team, is in the final development of plans, specifications, and engineer's estimate, or PS&E as we know it. So there's a lot of specific items associated with that. I'll get to those in a moment that tie into the PS&E and be able to bring that to final. And we'll talk about those in a moment. Side by side, the environmental team is working on compliance with biological mitigation. As you can imagine, we won't get into too much detail on those, but there's a handful of permits that are required for the project, permits that we have in hand. But there are conditions in those permits that we need to abide by and are required under the project. So we're working on those right now, our environmental team, on the nuts and bolts of what we're held to under those permits. Good news on this slide. And we just had some good news before, but you can see project fully funded with an exclamation mark, which is warranted, right? As well as some of the items on the bottom part with regards to funding that we have there new and also with an exclamation point in bold. But we'll start at the top to kind of give a brief breakdown. We've got about $10.4 million in Measure X contributed to the project. Regional development impact fees on the order of $5 million, a federal earmark of $312,000. You can see there on screen. STIP, or State Transportation Improvement Program, just about $30 million at 29.8. And then we have what we just were presented with, $80.3 million in the SB1 TSIP, or Trade Corridor Enhancement Program funding. And then Senate Bill 1, SB1 LPPC, or Local Partnership Program Competitive Process, in the order of $10.3 million. So with a total of just over $130 million at $136.1 million. So you can see a project of this size and stature. We've got a plethora of funds here combined to hopefully make the project happen. So nothing but good news here on this slide for you all to digest there a little bit. Let's talk about schedule. As I had indicated, we're moving forward in phase 1 or phase 2. Final design development and right away as diligently, intensely. I think there's a handful of adjectives that we could throw at the efforts that we're putting in right now. But you can see on screen there, right away certification, what we're shooting for is spring 2026, mid to late spring 2026. Right-of-way certification is basically where that right-of-way process of appraisals and acquisitions is able to be completed. And then that project can be certified for right-of-way. The reason that that milestone is so critical is that it is needed and required in order to be able to reach the ready-to-list milestone, or RTL, as we call it. You can see that's also labeled as spring 2026, because the hope is that we'll have everything else in line, that will be an item that very quickly after receiving it, hopefully sooner, we'll have to see how that pans out. We'll be able to quickly RTL after that. So a lot of stuff being moved, positioned, situated in place to make that ready to list milestone. You can see at the very top under right-of-way certification, I have an asterisk by that. The reason that I do, as you can see in the bottom, is it's current critical path to be able to reach that ready to list milestone. Biggest risk to schedule and required for ready to list, as I indicated. Assuming that we meet the spring 2026, or that would be third going into fourth quarter of this fiscal year, we're looking at construction fund allocation in the same fiscal year, May 2026. That'll enable and lead to an award of construction contract in early fall 2026, and then hope is start of construction in late fall 2026. So you can see 5 bullet items here that talk about the major milestones with regards to schedule. There's a lot of intermediate tasks that are ongoing and need to take place, and that are kind of sub bullets to all these, but these are the major ones. So I wanted to get a little bit more in depth into that right-of-way certification or path to right-of-way certification, since that is the critical path to be able to RTL. You can see going back in time very briefly to spring 2025, which just occurred, was that PG&E provided limits for their easements, both permanent and temporary. Time to digest those on our design team's end, our survey, right-of-way survey specific unit within the PDT. And then in spring into summer, Caltrans developing those appraisal maps with all of those folks that I just mentioned. And then summer 2025, PG&E reviews the appraisal maps. So basically, to give a little bit more breakdown on the process, they provide us the information to generate the appraisal maps. Then once they're generated, it's PG&E, here are the appraisal maps that we develop based on the information you provided us, getting their concurrence. And then late summer, which is where we're at right now, is starting that acquisition and utility agreement process. Talking a little bit more about the utility agreements process, in late August, which just occurred, we were able to obtain from CTC approval and allocation of a portion of the recently granted SB1 TSEP funding on the order of $32.1 million. And that $32.1 million, a big bearing on that funding is the ability to execute these utility agreements with the utility companies. We already had existing right-of-way capital that we were able to tap into, but there's a couple of utility relocations that required additional funding. And so the good news is that that money is going to go to use right away. So that's something that we're doing right now, is private property appraisal, acquisitions, and execution of these utility agreements, particularly with PG&E. Fall through winter is when we have a process. Our right-of-way teams have a process that they have to go through with regards to appraisals and acquisitions. And a large part of that time will be taken up by the actual acquisition of the property. So appraisals, that process, relatively, I'll just say relatively quick compared to the acquisitions process. So that's what's going to take place fall into winter, with an eventual taking us back to that previous slide with that bullet item of the spring 2026 for right-of-way certification. So a little more in depth of the path to that actual milestone. I wanted to talk a little bit about specific items. If you recall, when I was mentioning that we are in phase 1 or PS&E and the right-of-way specific phases, under the development of that final package that ultimately gets advertised for construction, there are a handful of items associated with that are being worked on by other members of the project development team to be able to meet that point. And so we can see here at the top, Monterey County Coastal Development Permit. We have an issued Monterey County Coastal Development Permit, requires an extension. That's something that our coastal development coordinators are working on right now. We've had, it's my understanding, we've had good communication with the county. And I think we can see here by the attendance today and what we receive with regards to funding, that I think that's what it takes for a project like this, is that everybody's in. So we're working on that. Water Quality Control Board, State Water Quality Control Board, stormwater compliance. So that's another item that I'm working on with the design teams, the environmental teams. Without getting into too much detail, essentially by creation of the project, creating some impervious area, concrete asphalt. So there are offsets, there are certain requirements that we need to comply with there. It's looking like something on the nature of an alternative compliance plan, from what I'm being told from our stormwater coordinators, is going to be required as part of that, but we're currently and actively working on that item associated with the project. Monterey County Maintenance Agreement, good news on the Monterey County Maintenance Agreement. We recently received full execution on that. So that's actually an item that has been complete on this list in its entirety. What goes along with the Monterey County Maintenance Agreement is that in those 3 roundabouts that you saw on the screen initially, in the very middle portion of those roundabouts, through the agreement process, we need to incorporate something on the order of hardscape associated with those roundabouts rather than landscaping. So myself, again, going back to that project development team, our landscape architects, our design team specifically, are working and communicating with input from myself on that item. North Monterey County Unified School District Amphibian Mitigation Conservation Easement. So just up the road from where the actual project site is North Monterey County High School. Their offices also reside there. We've been having, just over the past few weeks, I would say month and a half, a handful of meetings with the superintendent representatives of the district on basically perfecting that easement, the language of that easement, what the needs are on the high school property, which is where the conservation easement is going to be overlaid. We've had really good discussions. That item is really moving in a positive direction. So some good news on that. Environmental mitigation at what we call the Dubach property, management of that property. So there's a whole component of the environmental permits that's associated with impacts on ag, wetland impacts, et cetera. So that is what the purpose of that a portion of that property acquisition was, and what we're relying on it for. Associated with that is an entity that manages that in accordance with what those permit requirements are. Essentially, that's kind of the brief summary of it. So that's another item that we're currently working on as well. And then you can see at the very bottom there, Federal Highway Administration authorization with a project of this size and stature. And also the aspect of the project that a portion of that SB1 funding potentially coming from federal resources. We have certain administrative processes that we need to go through to be able to get Federal Highway Administration authorization. A little more detail on that. Basically, since this project is part of the SR 156 corridor as a whole, we were able to execute a memo through discussions with FHWA, memo documentation that they have actually approved, that'll enable us to get what's called E76 authorization for the project. So this item here at the very bottom, we're very close to being covered with. It's just attaching an initial financial plan to that document, which is not required to be approved, but be included with that documentation. So we're making very good headway on that. So I can stand up here and I can talk for quite a while about these items. I probably already have, but a lot going on associated with the project, as you can imagine. Zoom in a little bit on the SB1 funding baseline agreement. So as part of the SB1 funding that we just recently were granted from the CTC, we can request authorization of that money, but then also as part of that side by side is that there is a baseline agreement that is needed to be executed in conjunction with Caltrans and TAMC. There's been a lot of effort separate from the actual continued development of the project over on one hand, and then dealing with this on the other hand, and it's all headed in a positive direction. But you can see some items as to what the funding baseline agreement entails and what it serves on the project. So you can see sets forth expected benefits, scope, schedule, and cost, identifies agency responsible for delivering the project. Caltrans is responsible for delivering the project. Establishes a benchmark for monitoring and reporting. So in that baseline agreement, there's items that talk about and in with the SB1 funding program, reporting requirements, notification to headquarters essentially of what the status is on the project and our trajectory moving forward. Establishes the cost sharing agreement. And then approval by the CTC is required at the October 2025 CTC meeting. So because we requested allocation of the right-of-way capital funds at the August meeting and were granted those, that's what necessitates the October 2025 CTC meeting for approval of the baseline agreement. So Caltrans and TAMC staff have been working very intimately with one another on this item, and I believe we recently received some news that's positive with regards to the funding percentages in the event of an overrun. Todd, I don't know if there's something you wanted to add, or Mike on that. Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chad. Good morning. Mike Zoller, TAMC's Director of Programming and Project Delivery. So as Chad mentioned, we've been working closely with Caltrans to develop the baseline agreement. The staff report outlines some of our initial concerns that we had with the draft language that was proposed to us, primarily around the cost sharing percentages. I'm happy to say that we believe that those issues have been resolved, and we've been provided with updated language that more appropriately represents the partnership between Caltrans and TAMC on this project. It moves the cost sharing from what was proposed as 20% of the state's share of grant funding to a 40-60 split, which is more in line with what we were expecting going into the process. So at the staff level, we're comfortable with the new language, and there's an action in the staff report requesting approval of the baseline agreement for the executive director to execute, and we would request that approval today.
Thanks, Mike. Right. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the next slide, which is an opportunity for you all to ask questions with regards to the project based on what I've presented today. And you can see the photo in the background is overlaid on existing ground, essentially, what the interchange will look like.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm very pleased and relieved to hear that the details of the agreement and cost sharing have been sorted out. So thank you for your participation and commitment to helping us get through the other side of that.
You got it.
Thank you. Let's start over here, since I think I missed someone earlier or looked the wrong way. So we'll start with Kate and then work our way around.
Thank you. Great presentation. Is the area right there, is that Castroville Boulevard that goes?
Yes.
What's going to happen to this stretch of Castroville Boulevard that is no longer necessary?
I'm gonna see if I can get the laser pointer going on here, and there we go. Okay, so I think currently Castroville Boulevard goes along here, right?
Right.
And then we have
That
our
part right there.
existing at grade intersection, and you're referring to
Where you are right now.
right here, yeah. So Castroville Boulevard will continue down here and then angle here, and then there will essentially be a cul-de-sac type situation with Castroville Boulevard. Now, to add to that, I had referred to the multi-use path earlier on in the presentation. So the multi-use path will continue on this side of the new Castroville Boulevard and then continue and join with the existing pedestrian path approximately in this vicinity. So that's what I was referring to, the continuation of that.
And can you continue on Castroville Boulevard in a car and go to Castroville? Like, could you continue west?
Oh, no, not this direction.
Just walking?
Yeah, so now just walking, riding a bike, those
Okay.
sorts of things. Now your path or accessibility, I'll say, with regards to Castroville proper will be to use this roundabout supported interchange.
And then one final question is, what is how many months is the construction timeline?
We have roundabout a 2-year construction window. I had mentioned about the finalization of the plan specifications and estimate. A part of that is honing in on those actual working days and what that's going to take,
Okay.
leading up to the point where it's final, but round about 2 years.
And actually, that leads to one final question. Are they all constructed at the same time? Is it all happening at one time, all three intersections, all three roundabouts?
The project itself is all happening at once continuously from beginning to end, but is staged and phased construction. So
Okay.
not all at once. One of the factors is we have this housing development right here,
Yeah.
right? So ingress, egress for this housing development, when constructing that that roundabout and this roundabout, I obviously don't have detailed staging and phasing plans in front of me right now, but what I do know is that there are tens of sheets of the 350-page plan set that are dedicated to the staging and phasing of the construction. So.
Okay, that's the last time I'm going to say a final question, but that leads to one more. Is there always going to be access throughout the project in terms of moving through the construction zone?
There will be minor delays associated with construction. I know that's kind of a subjective term, right? There's no way that something of this size and stature gets built with some inconvenience.
But there's no planned redirecting of traffic at this point. It's that you'll be able to have some
There will be
movement.
access.
Yeah.
Without any major differences in normal travel patterns associated with this
Thank
project in the
you.
area. Yeah.
So a couple questions. The first would be, we saw the list of issues you lined up for us in terms of what's left to do in order to move us forward. What do you see as the biggest risk point in that list for the project? And is there a way that we can be helpful in whatever that may be?
Sure. I'm really glad you asked that question. So not on that list was the path to right-of-way certification, right, which I talked to in detail. So I just wanted to hit on that for a moment. I see that at this moment in time still being critical path to being able to reach that RTL milestone. Of the items on that list, some of those are only required in advance of actual construction of the project, not necessarily to be able to get to RTL or ready to list it. Based on what the pulse rate of where we're currently at on those items on the list, I think development of that stormwater alternative compliance plan right now is one that's on my radar as being one of the more critical ones. And then I would say also execution of the management of that Dubach property for environmental purposes. I'm really glad that you offered assistance, or how anyone in this room can be of assistance. I've always, through my communication with TAMC staff, never hesitate to use them as a liaison with others here in the room if I feel that assistance can be sought. So at this moment, not right now, which may come of it is there technical difficulty that? Okay, I saw a lot of people looking around. Okay, great. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great. As part of that, oh, no, not a problem. As part of that alternative compliance with regards to stormwater, there may be some assistance that I need to seek. And I've already keyed TAMC staff onto that. Nothing to you in detail yet, because I'm still, information gathering, et cetera, from the team. But hearing that you're bringing that up, I'm not one to hesitate to ask for assistance if I need it. I mean, on this project, it's clear. It's a true team effort. So I don't know that specifically answered your question.
That does. Thank you so much. The other question that I had is, I know that the lots on either side of that road are destined for housing. So I'm assuming that all that was planned into this as on-ramps, ingress, egress, and all those pieces, they've been considered in terms of the design as well?
Correct. It was. Yeah, what you're referring to, this property right here, this property right here, future housing development, I think affordable housing. I think what we reached is CHISPA, correct. They've been involved. We've had detailed conversations with him with regards to the utility relocation aspect of the project. And then also ingress and egress for their development ultimately. Short answer is yes. I can get into more detail on that.
No,
but
I
yeah.
just want to appreciate that, knowing that for a lot of us, that building housing in meaningful and affordable ways is a priority. And this is a great partnership between the transportation and a place where that's needed. So thank you for bringing this project for that purpose.
Got it.
And I just wanted to echo what Chris already said that this project, one of the highlights of it is that it would allow this 100% affordable housing project through Chispa to move forward. They were waiting for this. They knew that this was coming. They had to wait for this project to be completed for that project to be able to move forward. And it's in a critical part of our county where the need is great. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, but also just to thank Chair Grisby for coming all the way down to join us today. And if you could extend our deep thanks to all the commissioners for allowing the funding to move forward that will realize this project. This body explored many options to improving transportation in this critical corridor. It's critical for the residents, agriculture, hospitality, definitely. But we explored whether we could widen the highway. That was not cost feasible for us. They looked at tolls. We explored all those options, but now we're able to say, what are the ways can we improve the flow of traffic in this area? And this was one of those obvious ones, but obviously cost was the biggest factor. But now this is one of those examples in California where improving transportation also advances affordable housing, which is an important goal of the governor and the legislature. So it really falls in line with many intents that the legislature had in mind when making these funds available for us. So I just want to really thank you for coming here personally. Anybody else?
Just, hi, Mary Ann Carbone. I just had a question. Have you taken in any consideration to the change of the layout of the roads? I've noticed that the road will be much closer to the housing. So will there be any impacts to sound for being that the road will be closer to housing and newly proposed housing?
Yes, yeah. So what I can say is that, like I had mentioned, we're in phase 1 and phase 2, PS&E and right away. There's a phase that takes place before that phase, which we call zero phase or PA&ED, which is where visual, noise, appearance, et cetera, all of that with regards to anticipated permitting takes place. Without having the details in front of me right now, I'm assured that was taken into consideration by our PDT at that time, a phase that we've since passed. But I think getting back to, I didn't catch this gentleman's name here who Supervisor Alejo had mentioned about the project and how it serves the surrounding community. So when this project is complete, it much better supports the surrounding housing developments, not directly related to the noise question that you asked, but I'm confident that was looked at the PA&ED or beginning stages of the project.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comprehensive question on the bottom roundabout. If we go 1, 2, 3, eventually they're all going to have names.
This one?
Bottom one. Is it designed, it looks like it's smaller, and is it designed to be placed there for future access for future development and for trucking, agriculture? Because it looks a little bit unusual in its design. But if you could touch on the design of why it's there in that manner and what will be the traffic activity on that piece.
Correct, yeah, definitely can. You can see that this roundabout right here is larger in size, mainly because it serves more ingress and egress traffic movements at this location. You can see this is a tie-in to, or there's a tie-in to frontage road as well as an off-ramp. So this roundabout needs to support, I would say, 3 more traffic movements, not being the traffic ops specialist of our PDT, hence the reason for its increased size. This one over here, I know, has been designed such that it could be in the event, if anything happens in the future, separate project-wise, et cetera. So I think the answer to that question is yes. The other thing is that you can, it's kind of difficult to see on here, but trying to zoom in verbally on this roundabout, that multi-use path continues across the overcrossing here. There's ADA supported ramps at all of these locations. Then that path continues on, and then you can see right here, kind of difficult to see, but essentially ends right there. So in effect, that could be tied onto in the future. I think the short answer to your question is yes, that this could support future development. I'll take this opportunity to note as well, I'm kind of a notable on this project. These 2 roundabouts right here, unlike this roundabout over here, to achieve this overcrossing, require on the order of 20 to 30 feet of fill material be placed to support them. And so that also impacted the design and placement of these 2 roundabouts. There's soil conditions in this vicinity are such that we're going to have to pre-install drains to try to take up the poor water pressure in the soil before we can load them up with those fills. So giving you a peek behind the curtain of why this roundabout and this roundabout are the way they are, as regards to traffic movements, I think ultimately getting back to your question would support future development if it got to that point.
Yeah, thank you very much. No other questions, but we appreciate your patience with us because not only were we very anxious to get solutions to our region, but we all get excited when we get to, see the dirt movement and the actual projects come to fruition. And of course, we get the questions in our constituent factor that they want to know what's going on. So we appreciate the level of detail. I do want to say thank you, Commissioner, for attendance. And this is a big thing for the entire county. So it's not just the Castroville impact, as you all know, it's the millions of folks that come to the peninsula. It's supporting the agriculture and the employment I have also, many of us serve on the Monterey Salinas Transit Board as well. So we're always cognizant of the fact of how do we get folks to school, to work and home safely. And so this region is constrained by so many factors, but it almost seems like, the bypass road would have been the easiest, but it had so many hurdles. This has a lot of hurdles, but thank you for helping us get through those hurdles and making this to be an achievement that is monumental, that since many of us were children watching this be a difficult place. And so for years and years to wait for the solutions, it's greatly appreciated. And the community is watching, the community appreciates this. And so the level of outreach to educate the public in terms of the alternative ways to get where they need to go to while the construction's happening will be critical. So anything we can do to help, and any of the cities individually that can do the help with that heavy lifting of the outreach, we would extend that to you as well.
That's great. That's really great to hear because I know our public information officers, our PIO, our engagement team as part of the PDT would be more than willing to take advantage of that. And that's probably what it's going to take, right? So
yes,
we appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And there's large industries such as the aquarium, the Wharf Association that have millions of folks that come. They can do the outreach as well that can help assist with this project. But thank you again for your heavy lift, and your check is fabulous. But also what's behind that check means that you're committed to us, and we appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Andrew, did you have any comments? Okay, let me move over here. Mayor Rios, comments? Okay.
Thank you. I do want to extend appreciation for the CTC chair to come down here today for the presentation of the check, because it really highlights that real progress takes a team. Everyone has a part to play, and this is just one of those
portions where we have the state, we have Caltrans, and we have the local regional transportation agency working together. And thank you for the timeline. It's very rarely that we see a timeline to get to construction in the same year. So that was very nice to see. But my question is, so once we get to the construction portion, what is the duration of the construction time that is estimated?
Roughly 2 years. Yeah, and I'll just add to that, similar to Supervisor Daniels over here when she asked that question.
Oh, I missed that. Sorry.
Oh, 2 years. So, I have to do the same thing all the time. I have to ask multiple folks. As we are doing our final development of that PS&E phase, or that plan specifications and estimate package to be able to get to the RTL and advertise, we hone in on the amount of working days as we get closer to that completion of what it's going to actually take. But I'll say it's roughly 2 years based on what we know at this point right now.
All right, thank you. And I'll have to hone in on my listening skills because I completely missed that. Sorry, Supervisor. Sorry, Chair.
And your district, Glenn?
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to go back a little bit to what Supervisor Daniels raised. I did hear the question. A little bit. The road and the design there, it's hard to visualize when Chispa gets in how, I'm not can't quite place in my mind exactly where their ingress and egresses are. Is it works with their design? Is that how it was put together, or do we take that in consideration at all?
We have, so our design team's been in our design team portion of the project development team has been in communication with Chispa since the beginning. If you recall, associated with utility relocation for our project, was impacted by Chispa. So there were some conversations that took place there. What I can tell you is that just recently, we were involved in some in detail conversations with Chispa associated with utility relocation. Their plans were present at that meeting, in communication with our plans. So I think the short answer to your question is yes. Chispa has been involved with the project. I've been in conversations with both their developer, their engineer, more from a utility perspective, but they know and are aware of the project. So
I just want to make sure it was fitting with their design, because otherwise there's no reason to even have that as a county road right there.
Yeah. So what I will say is this area right here, as we know, is Chispa, and also here with regards to future affordable housing. From what I understand, given a qualitative view of the plans that I saw with their I'll say track map, for example, is that this area right here is a known wetland. So their actual structures, based on what I've seen on their plans, is in this area of the corner of that property. And then this area right here, it left more open per se.
So
I haven't, I'm not ground
so
level on
right,
that.
the area between what you just identified as a wetland and the highway. And again, I haven't looked at the plans now for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm a little vague on it myself. What is that intention there? Do you know what Chispa, or with that, right below that wetlands area?
For this area right here?
Yeah, there's a little triangle area right below that.
Yeah, you're talking about this
Yes.
area right here. I'm not 100% for certain on what it is that they're planning for that. What I have seen on their plans is that is labeled as open space.
Okay, so do we really need to have this? Do we really need to have that county road extend down there to that cul-de-sac there, and can it be further up?
That would be something that I would have to confer with our traffic ops, but it sounds like Todd's got.
There's a few issues why that needs to be extended or maintained. One is that little triangle that the cul-de-sac is next to on the far left is a separate private parcel. So we're maintaining access to that parcel. And then above that, there is access to that larger Chispa property. I'm sorry, no, the Chispa right there, there's going to be a driveway access into that neighborhood.
Okay.
So those two require that road to be maintained.
And that's good to hear that it's going to be open right there, because my concern is with the roundabout there, if there was a building or something obscuring it from the highway, it becomes an area for nighttime dumping, illicit activity, whatever can happen. If it's somewhat open, then that's great. You know, it's a little less likely to happen, but the other point is that the light will stay in place until the construction is done. Is that correct?
So, yeah, that, again, without having the detailed staging and phasing plans in front of me, I don't think it's gonna be a hard stop or hard pull on that. It will probably be utilized somehow, some way, at a minimum, that vicinity of real estate right there to be able to support construction of the project. So I don't know that it'll be a hard remove, utilization for a specific stage and phase of the construction. That's
I
about
hope we're
the
not
best
going back
information.
and forth between using it and not using it, because that would be confusing to drivers.
Sure, totally understood.
Yeah, and the other question I have, and I'm not just quite understanding this here, between the middle and the bottom little roundabouts there, there's you go to the far eastern side, and there's a little arm right there, an arm sitting out right there, going out. What's the purpose of that?
Maintenance, the purpose is for maintenance vehicle pullouts for Caltrans to be able to maintain and operate the interchange.
Okay, so will it be an open area for people just to drive into?
I don't have the details in front of me. I don't foresee that being the case.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just, yeah.
But I totally see what you're getting at, yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. Well, I just want to point back, we've talked about how long the project's been going on here, but realistically, work on this, and Ed kind of alluded to that, has on some kind of improvements been going on since the 1960s. The only thing I know that's even longer than that has been out for proposal was Highway 1 on its widening, a potential widening at some point, which has been since the 1950s. So it's good to see after, 65 years that we're moving ahead on something here. And this is really key for safety. And I can't remember if I brought this up previously to the board, but this kind of work here is actually kind of personal for me now. My son, who's a CSUMB student, in May was coming home and went through where the light is with the green light, and a car did not stop at a red light. He fortunately saw it coming, accelerated just enough so that it hit the back of his car. He was not injured, but it could have been, extremely bad. So really good to see this coming along, because it'll save lives. And thank you for all your great work on it. And I'm glad everybody hunkered down and stood with us as we've gone through some tough times. Thank you.
Great, all right. I don't think, thank you. Thank you for the dialogue, and I think clearly you can tell us something like we're committed to, we're interested in, a level of detail that I think there'll be more conversation. And for anyone who is interested in more detail on our board, I know Todd and the team at Caltrans, there's more opportunity to sit down and have some more in-depth dialogue and review. Let's open it up to public comment so that we can hear any public comment. If you're with us in the room and would like to approach, we'd love to hear from you. If you're with us online and would like to raise your hand, we'd love to see your hand raised. I'm not seeing any hand raised. I'm not seeing anyone in the room, so we'll close public comment. I just want to say thank you to all of the partners who have worked with us. Thank you for this, helping us close this gap, get the funding, this funding agreement that's in place with Caltrans, the Transportation Commission, to the voters of Monterey County who funded Measure X, which has allowed us to provide our local dollars, to the team at TAMC who have worked so diligently and who will continue to work so diligently to keep this project moving forward. I think sometimes it's amazing to me that anything ever gets done, given how many hurdles we have to go through to see things through generations of leadership is what it feels like. We've got a ways to go here, but getting the funding package pulled together to be able to move forward is significant. And I think it's worthy of celebration. So I'm glad we were able to be here today and have this item on our agenda. We will be happy to entertain a motion. Is
Second,
okay, and who did I hear those from?
Smith and Alejo.
Yes, thank you. It's helpful to have the name. So a motion from Smith, a second from Alejo, and we'll take a roll call vote. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to not end the conversation without acknowledging a lot of work done by former Supervisor John Phillips on this particular project as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we not need a roll? Is everyone in the room today? We don't need a roll call vote, but we do have a.
Alternate is not here. We have Leo in room, so we can just do a voice vote.
Oh,
Correct.
that is fantastic. Let's take all in favor? Any opposed? None? Passes unanimously. Thank you. And with that, we will move right along. I'm just gonna do a quick time check. It is about 10:15. We have a few more items to get through, and we do have an important closed session that we need direction on. So if we can hold everyone here, we will lose one more member, I know, before we get to closed session. So item number 6 is our 2025 mid-cycle competitive grants program of projects.
Strauss.
Who is that?
Yannicka?
Oh, sorry. And we have Yannicka Strauss to present. Sorry, there it is. Thank you. Yannicka, thank you. Yes, all yours.
Good morning. Good morning, Chair and members of the board. My name is Yannicka Strauss. I am an Associate Transportation Planner with TAMC. And today I'm going to present a proposal to program RSTP funds to local agencies through a mid-cycle grant. So next slide, I have that. If I can do it. Oh, somehow it turned off. Okay. There we go. Okay, so these funds are Regional Surface Transportation Program funds, which are federal gas tax dollars exchanged for state cash. RSTP funds are programmed on a 3-year cycle. The last cycle was 2023. The next cycle is 2026. The board approves a fund estimate in March of the first year of the cycle, which includes 10% off the top for TAMC reserves, a set aside for special projects, and fair share funding, which is distributed to jurisdictions using a population and centerline mile formula. The remainder is distributed through a competitive grant program where jurisdictions submit an application for their project proposals. There is a timely use of funds policy with RSTP funds where when the funds are programmed, they must be used within 3 years. We do grant time extensions on projects as long as they're making progress, and the formula funds are the jurisdictions in perpetuity, so they roll over from cycle to cycle. This is a recently completed project in the city of Greenfield, and it includes new sidewalk, high visibility crosswalks, and bike route striping. This project was part of the Salinas Valley Safe Routes to School participatory budgeting project and was funded using RSTP reserve funds. This is another recently completed project, East Market Street in the city of Salinas. This includes constructing the concrete curbs, which you see here on the right photo. Previously, cars were parking in the bike lanes. They constructed the concrete curbs to prevent that from happening. And this was funded in the last competitive RSTP cycle through the quick build funds. So this is the last year of the cycle, and reviewing the RSTP fund, we found that there were unprogrammed funds. To meet the timely use of funds policy, we recommend a one-time funding prior to the 2026 competitive grant program. To meet the timely use of funds policy, we recommend, and to expedite the disbursement of the funds, we recommend funding shovel-ready projects. So we reached out to agencies to see if they had any projects that were more than 50% complete with design and would begin construction before July 2026 and were short their funding requirements. So the total available to program is $13.5 million. This was generated from leftover reserve funds, revenue on interest, project cost savings, and variances between the approved fund estimate and the actual funds that were received from the state, and the variances between the approved fund estimate and then funds that were actually programmed through the competitive grant program. So we received 18 funding requests from 12 jurisdictions. The City of Delray Oaks and Pacific Grove did not have projects that fit this criteria. The total request was $23 million. The City of Seaside, City of Greenfield, and City of Sand City submitted more than one proposal. So we're recommending that we are recommending the top priority proposal for each city. So that would mean that one project per jurisdiction. And of the 12 projects that we are recommending, they're all complete with design and they would go to construction by February 2026. And so the total funding that is requested is $11.2 million. So, sorry if this is too small for you all, but these are project maps for each of the projects that were listed in your staff report. So the City of Carmel is requesting $243,000, and they are requesting that for the conglomerate paving project fiscal year 24-25. This project includes pavement rehabilitation, resurfacing, sidewalk and curb ramps in the downtown area, and also repaving unincorporated Ocean Avenue from the city limits to State Route 1 in coordination with the county. And that is this little section here. On the right here is the City of Gonzalez's proposal for a 5th Street truck ban signage. This is to enforce a truck ban on 5th Street between 101 and Alta Street to improve circulation and safety, and they requested $38,512. The City of Greenfield's proposal on the left is the Walnut Avenue Pedestrian and Bikeway Improvement Project. They're requesting $100,000, and I'm sure you all have heard about this project before, but this project constructs pavement improvements and installs new sidewalk and bike lanes on Walnut Avenue between 3rd Street, which is east of US 101, to 12th Street on the west side of the city. On the right here is King City's proposal for their US 101, Broadway Street, and San Antonio Drive roundabout. This will improve safety, multimodal access, and congestion relief. They're requesting $1,488,000 to complete that project. On the left is the City of Marina's proposal to construct a signal at Imgen Parkway and 3rd Avenue. There was a fatality here, and the result was that a signal would improve safety, especially for pedestrians crossing this intersection. They're requesting $450,000 for this project. On the right side is City of Monterey's project. This project would install a traffic circle at an all-way stop at the 5-leg intersection of Madison Street, Herman Street, and Larkin Street, and this would reduce speed and improve pedestrian and vehicle safety near Monterey High School. They're requesting $130,000. On the left is the City of Salinas' proposal for the Bronda Road Congestion Relief Project. They're requesting $1 million. This project would widen Bronda from 2 to 4 travel lanes, construct a roundabout at McKinnon Street, improves pedestrian and bicycle crossings, ADA curb ramps, buffered bike lanes, and bus pullouts. On the right-hand side is the West End Improvement Project, the proposal from Sand City. They are requesting $2 million. This reconstructs Contra Costa Street and Catalina Street in Sand City and incorporates complete streets improvements such as curb ramps, ADA ramps, and high visibility crosswalks. On the left is City of Seaside's proposal for their Broadway corridor improvements. They are requesting $4 million to complete the project. This project implements a road diet on Broadway Avenue in Seaside from Fremont Boulevard and General Jim Moore, and installs curb extensions, buffered and protected bike lanes, roundabouts, raised crosswalks, rectangular rapid flashing beacons, high visibility crosswalks, and bicycle and pedestrian encouragement programming as part of the project. On the right side is the City of Soledad's proposal for their West Street Road Diet and Complete Streets project. They're requesting $882,480. This project implements a road diet on West Street from Gabilan Drive to Front Street in Soledad. The project includes protected bike lanes, traffic calming, raised medians, and narrower travel lanes. On the left, this is the county's proposal for their Laurellis Grade and Carmel Valley Road roundabout, and this would improve vehicle safety and slow speeds. They are requesting $450,000 to complete the project. On the right-hand side is a project proposed by Monterey Salinas Transit. This project would implement a program to enable eligible students and faculty and staff of Hartnell College to receive discounted or complimentary fares on MST vehicles with an open-loop contactless bank card. This project will reduce barriers to riding transit by making it easy to buy a public transit ride, as easy to buy a public transit ride as it is to purchase groceries. So they are requesting $450,000 to complete this project. This is a list of the proposals that are not recommended for funding. And again, this is largely due to that these cities proposed more than one project, and we thought it would be more equitable to only fund one from each city. So our staff recommendation today is to approve programming $11.232 million of the Regional Surface Transportation Program funds to the mid-cycle competitive grant program of projects, and to approve amending Exhibit A of the local funding agreement to include these projects and funding amounts. So now I am happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you, Hanneke. And thank you for the detailed maps and project descriptions and quick engagement with all of the cities who have also had to have their city staff have projects ready to go and turn around to submit for these sort of last minute funds that are now available. I did want to share quickly comments from Mayor Velasquez, who had to leave. She wanted to comment and thank the board for this, if approved, the City of Soledad's, or comment on the City of Soledad's allocation request for the West Street Road Diet and the Complete Street project. So just her comment requesting that. So having said that, why don't we do comment, and we'll start on this side and work our way around this time. So any comments?
I'll just say thank you again from the city of Gonzales. We hope this is the safe route to school. If you don't know, all our schools are located directly across from each other on Fifth Street. So there's a lot of kid traffic. If you want to take a child to school, you're going to be using Fifth Street. So get these semis off the road because they do not stop on a dime. We've already had a couple of incidents where kids were hit, so we're hoping that this will minimize it. And so we do appreciate the TAMC's efforts to help us with this. So thank you.
I was actually going to ask the board to consider, so out of all the projects, the Gonzales project is actually very, very important in the sense is what Mayor Rios just said, is because of the semis that come across that area, but their request was only at $38,000. It is the absolute lowest of all of our cities, and the total cost of it was $121,000. So, and we had 13.5 that was available. We're using 11.232. So I would ask to can we at least look at 50,000 minimum, maybe 75,000 for that project? It's one of the smaller cities that doesn't get a lot of those dollars going that way. But that would be my ask for consideration on this project for Gonzalez. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for the King City one if approved.
Yeah, although we didn't have a project for this go around, we're looking forward to having one for the next mid-cycle.
Yeah, I'll jump in. Obviously, I want to support that extra amount there, but I also was hoping that the board would give a little consideration to Greenfield's second project on the list. Their first project was only 100,000 and the second project is only 100,000. So in total, it would be 200,000. As we look at that question of equity, there's almost every other project is for a lot more. And so I'm hoping just to balance that. I did check in with staff and it would not break the bank to put an extra 100,000 towards that project. It was a road resurfacing, and if you've watched the politics in Greenfield in the last few years, that is the hottest issue in town, is road conditions. And so would love to support them in that, knowing that their representative, Rachel Ortiz, is not here. So again, we'll look for some support on that. Thank you.
I just want to express my support for what Supervisor Lopez and Mayor Labar just presented, and just to also the Baranda Improvement Project in Salinas. Obviously, that's one of the most congested areas in the city. I'm glad that we're able to contribute to make improvements there.
Dale Byrne from Carmel. I'd really like to thank TAMC. First of all, I'm really pleased to be here. I've never been to a TAMC meeting, and it's as a second alternate, because we had a couple people tied up. It's really fascinating to watch what you do here, and great work. And I'd like to thank our county partners for working with us in an innovative way to get that first part of Ocean Avenue paved, and we'll do the rest of it. And for TAMC and coming through with about $250,000 to help us wrap that project up. So fantastic work. And everybody's very excited in Carmel about this. So thank you.
Mary Ann Carbone, Sand City. I concur with Supervisor Lopez and Alejo and Mayor Labar on the comments. I think that to support both projects would be great for Gonzalez. And I did want to, should this go through, to give thanks on behalf of my city for the improvements that this will the improvements in Sand City that will be for stormwater improvements. And also, I walk around Sand City quite a bit. The way that it is structured now on Contra Costa, there are cars parked in the street, and you have to, for a pedestrian, they would have to walk in the lane of traffic to go around those cars. And this here will help to delineate pedestrians being able to walk or bike on that street. So thank you very much.
My battery's dead there. So just a process question that I want to make sure that I understand. There is a surplus remaining in the funds as staff has gone through this, and it states that we have 2.268 million in reserve for future board programming. I think staff is supportive of some adjustments as recommended by some board members, and I concur. I think that's the fair and the right thing to do. But at what point does it come back to, from a staff perspective, to the board to say, okay, now there is a remaining, let's say it's 2 million. What do we do with that 2 million? When? And do we go back and visit those that didn't make the cutoff? Or is it a new cycle of requests for projects? So I need some guidance here.
Yeah, so that $2 million is in the reserve fund. So that has been, that's kind of up to the discretion of staff and the board. But we do have the next cycle in 2026 and the call for projects is in March. So any of those projects could qualify for that process as well.
Okay, and so if there were a city that still had a project that was not approved today,
Mhm.
and they wanted to approach the TAMC board with a second request, trying to achieve to use money that's available from the reserve fund, is there a process, or do we have a board policy that says, no, that cycle's done, we're gonna wait for the next cycle?
I'll weigh in here. A good example is Pacific Grove, who has a project that they've been talking with TAMC staff for what we call a quick build project, which is to quickly implement changes. And they're looking at Pine Street in Pacific Grove as in front of the elementary school. And they didn't meet the criteria for being ready to build that we had looked at for this, what we talked about today. But it is something that they might be ready before the next cycle. And that would be an example of a project that they would talk to TAMC staff, we're working with them already, but otherwise any jurisdiction come and talk to TAMC staff. And we would then make a recommendation to the board to program some of those reserve funds. If we don't have any other projects before the next cycle, we'll roll those reserve funds into the next cycle so it can get programmed. But we do have some ideas that how we might want to use them. So that's why we're wanting to keep them as a reserve.
And I think that answers the question in terms of a board policy that it gives us the latitude to say that, you know, let's do that extra more so that a community is able to achieve. But at the same time, we're still open and it's a work in progress where it's not just closed and we're just pigeonholing the money and trying to save it. We're trying to judiciously work towards a process to acknowledge that there may be projects that will come before the new cycle. So I think it's fair to say we should hold on to reserves that is a reasonable amount, but I think I would support the additional grants for these two cities because it's a small amount and still leaves us a really good balance in reserve. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. As Supervisor Alejo mentioned, barometer congestion is probably one of our biggest issues we're facing right now as far as traffic in Salinas. I know that's phase one, and I think the other phases are probably upwards in $70–80 million. You know, I support obviously the other cities' increase as well. And you know, I'd like to request it. I know the city only requested $1 million. I'd like to find out why that request was only there because we have such big shortfalls with that project as it is. And so I'd ask the board to consider an additional allocation of at least $150,000 to Baronda Road to get us moving on next phases as well. So that would be my ask.
All right, so I heard there were a couple requests. I did want to just, and Todd, you kind of answered the question, but there's a board approved policy that speaks to how these funds are utilized. And we talked about it in executive committee, and it really clearly outlines the policy, that the way we go through it and 3-year cycle, an equity process, and this particular set of funds, because it was in the reserve piece, it's being treated slightly different than the typical process. But the typical way that we do it, it does have a very specific formula that's used based on, I think it was road miles, if I'm remembering. If you could just maybe comment on because it does account for some of, I think, the concerns that I'm hearing in the comments. And it was the first question that I asked when I saw the numbers come forward.
So the funds that we receive, they are originally federal funds, and then the state exchanges them for state funds because we're a rural county. And then the board policy has been to take a minority part of that and distribute it to the jurisdictions by formula based on road mile and population. And then the majority of it goes out in the competitive program where grants the cities, county, MST submit proposals based on the criteria that the board approves, that after it goes to the review of the technical advisory committee and the bicycle pedestrian committee and gets their comments. And then in that, the board is usually recommended by staff to hold some money in reserve for kind of unknowns in that remainder of the 3-year cycle. And then there has been times where we've had special projects we've asked for allocations towards because we don't have another fund source that meets the needs. So the formula part is done by formula. So City of Salinas obviously is the biggest city, gets the biggest part of that. County gets a big chunk of it because of its size. And then they have the opportunity to participate in the competitive part. So a lot of these projects that we've talked about already have received funds in the competitive part. This is just the mid-year cycle. We're giving them that little extra they need to get to construction. And the projects that we're recommending here are fully fund the construction, the shortfall that the jurisdictions have to construct the phase to meet the criteria that we set out, which was fully designed or near completion of design, and construction should be well in construction by June of next year. So those are the 2 criteria. And if they didn't meet those criteria, we asked them to bring their project back in the next regular cycle, competitive cycle next year.
So having said that, I think maybe it would be helpful too if we could just pop that policy back out to everyone so we all have a chance to read it. And I know we have a lot on our plate, but just to refresh ourselves, and if we wanted to go back and talk to our public works teams and just say, hey, let's make sure these are the projects we'd like to see submitted or prepared for the next funding cycle. That'd be a good conversation for us to have with our own teams. But to the question of, there was a request for some additional funding for Gonzalez. I heard a bunch of thumbs up. So maybe just a nodding of heads or thumbs up to get a sense of, I'm seeing some consensus on that point. And it sounded like there was both a request for the project that's on the list was to fully fund it, right? So that's fully funded, but so maybe the request that I'm hearing was to add the next project on the
That was
list.
Greenfield, different city. So, yeah,
Okay,
so I'm
so to
prepared to make a
clarify, can you
motion
clarify?
at the appropriate time. I did have one more question for the rep from Salinas, if that's okay.
Okay, you want to ask that question?
Yeah, so the 150, do you know, will that move the will that get it off the sidelines? Because it sounded like you said the gap was a lot bigger than that. Just curious, if we put an extra 150 there, does that go from not feasible to feasible? You know what I mean?
Well, no, I think it would just contribute to the movement. I mean, it's gonna happen sooner or later. I think this would just help the needle move on that project. I mean, obviously, a small amount,
I think staff wanted to answer
Yeah,
that one.
just the shortfall that staff indicated to us would fully fund phase 1 of the project. And so it sounds like there are other phases that, need additional work, but I'm not sure what stage those phases are in.
Okay, and given that information, I'm prepared to move staff recommendation with an addition of $75,000 for the City of Gonzales project and funding the second project on the list in Greenfield for road resurfacing, which was 100,000, which would be a total of 175 in addition.
Okay, so I heard a motion, and I heard a second. So a motion from Lopez and a second from Labar, and we still need to go to public comment. Thank you. Okay, so we've got, and is the motion clear? Everyone's clear on that? And then just the staff, the additional 75,000 for the project in Gonzales, that's something they can utilize for that project?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so we'll go to public comment. Thank you.
I thought that was our first public comment.
Oh, and Yannick will have to scoot to the side so we can do Eric for public comment. Yeah, thank you. You're like, I got this.
Good morning again. My name is Eric Peterson, and I'd really like to support what Andrew said about Baranda Road because as is, you get there's very heavy use of cars in bike lanes. And not only is that very dangerous, it's a big deterrent to bicyclists using a major thoroughfare, which we have the right to use. And that the whole thing has been a mess. I can think back, I've been in Salinas almost 30 years and it was a mess 30 years ago. And fixing that should be a really super high priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment in the room? Any other public comment online? We're not seeing any hands raised online, and we're not seeing anyone else in the room. So let's bring it back to the board. Would there be interest in a friendly amendment to the motion to add the additional funding for the city of Salinas? They've got projects in the works. Well, the first portion of the phase is fully funded for an additional portion. What if we phrase it as if they're able to put an additional $150,000 to use within the time frame that's required for additional work on Baranda? And I'll phrase it like that.
Well, I think it's similar to the project in Gonzales that, TAMC is being asked to cover a portion of the project because it's fully funded. Same thing with the city of Baranda. The city of Salinas, if we reworded it to say, let's cover more of the phase one project, it would be the same guidelines. So, right? They're just asking for 35,000 of whatever their project is. So we're, instead of just covering their ask, we're actually funding the rest of the project. So it's a similar, I just could have just reword it. But yeah,
Okay,
that
so
was my
I'll
request.
frame it like that. So adding $150,000 to the phase one ask, and I'll just word it in a similar way to,
But I thought staff said the project with the $1 million is fully funded. If we're gonna add some money, it should be for in the future when there's another phase of the project.
if it's not approved, I was just asking if there was interest in.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, I don't know if you have Exhibit A, but does Salinas have fair share funds on Baranda Street? Because that would be one you could move. I mean, you could move the 150,000, but I would have to go back to staff to see if they could utilize the 150,000 for the next phase,
Okay,
which I could do.
I'll just go ahead and make a substitute motion. If I get support, I will, to include that as part of the allocation.
Sorry, so is that a substitute motion to,
Yes, add the $150,000 to
and to include the Gonzalez and
Greenfield. Correct,
Greenfield as was in the original motion?
correct.
Okay, I'll second that. Okay, with that, we'll do all in favor of the substitute motion.
Oh, hang on, there should be some discussion on this.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable just throwing more money to a project that has not yet fully identified what that money is going to be spent for. I know Salinas has a fully funded project. It's a big project. It's $1 million coming from this process to the Baranda project. But just to throw in another 150,000 to bank it, I think it's more appropriate to leave that in reserves and then encourage the process to be followed and then go forward in the next cycle and then come back to staff and the board to say, what is their new funding amount needed and how would future dollars be spent, rather than just letting 150,000 come out of the reserves. I don't want to trim away the reserves too much to the point where it gives us no ability to be nimble and comprehensive for every one of the cities in the county that needs to look to the reserves as a future project.
Any other discussion on this side? On this
Just
side?
one addition is that Salinas has $4 million of competitive funds on this project and $2 million of their fair share funds on this project.
And so what does that mean?
That just means they have more money on this project of RSVP funds.
$6 million project, and this would be the $7th $1 million.
Okay. So TAMC is making some contributions and they would be able to move money around and they would be able to utilize additional funds, but we're already contributing additional funds. Okay, great, thank you. Any other comments?
I'm just confused because I want to understand. We described some guidelines for this funding. And those guidelines included that these were shovel ready and that the funding that you were allocating was to fill the final gap.
Mhm.
So did the $1 million not fill the final gap?
The knowledge that I have, according to my conversations with staff, is that the $1 million would complete that first phase, fill the gap for the first phase. I don't have information on the future phases, but I don't know if they're in design or if they're in where they are.
But that would seem to be a different kind of funding. The 150 for a future phase seems to be a different kind of funding than what we're deciding today. I'm just curious. And
No, right, and like I said, it could be worded different, and I'm just trying to understand the difference between what we're doing with the city of Gonzales, right? We funded a portion of it because that's what they were requesting, but then we allocated more. So if we had guidelines, like, of course, want to support our local jurisdictions, but if we had guidelines and I see the city of Gonzales getting more funds, which is great, and I see, let's fund an additional project for Greenfield, doesn't seem like the policy is being applied, so I thought, well, there's an opportunity to fill some funding. I mean, we need more funding for Bronda, whether it's this phase or the next one. I assume the city of Gonzales is going to use those funds that we are now covering probably for another project. So it was
that
a
helps
similar.
me with the question. Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Can you help us understand what the difference is? Because that's an important question to ask and understand.
Well, the funds for the Fifth Street truck ban signage project that we would be contributing would complete construction, and that would close out that project. I guess the difference would be that we would be funding, I mean, the phase of the project is, it's not a standalone project, I guess, but it is kind of, I don't know, if Todd, you want to help me out here, but it's kind of a new project, the next phase. So that's how I see the difference, but if anyone wants to help me out here.
I mean, I guess from
For everybody,
the
though.
way that I see it, I think, transportation dollars are, you've got multiple streams of funding that are going into the cities. They're using, this source of funding and this source of funding to weave together to create a project, to get it funded. So the question that I fundamentally have is, we went out to the cities, we said, what do you need to finish out these these gaps? I'm fully supportive of adding additional funding to Greenfield, to Gonzales. I think there's, the equity piece makes sense for me there. But fundamentally, this particular allocation of funds, it's not based on some clear formula, and it's not based on some really clear set of criteria. And so by putting money into one pot, it does allow the cities to kind of say, okay, we can move money that we were going to spend on this project out of that project and put it into another project. I mean, all of our city staff are constantly doing that, county staff, moving money around. Okay, we can use this money here. Okay, we got that grant. Okay, we're going to fill this hole here. And so what I hear the question is, and this is basically a political question that's being asked of us right now. One question was added to this, we were asked to add money to two cities. So another city said, hey, can we also, if the rules are going to change in lifetime right now, can we also ask for more money? And so I think it's just a political question that's on the table, is honestly what I think is what's on the table. And Salinas is one of our largest cities. I think that they would be able to move some of their fair share dollars out of the Rwanda, put $150,000 in, use the fair share money in another location. It would still close the gap. It would be sufficiently equitable to meet the goals that were set forward. More money would be spent on roads. I think we achieved the goals that we're looking to achieve, which is why I'm willing to support it today. So, and also ideally, we spend down these dollars via the equitable policy that we've had in place when the money's in front of us. So
The difference is, they got $1 million, whereas Gonzales allocated $38,000 only. That's a big difference there. Every city, every single project now could ask, throw another 150 on mine too, throw another 250 on mine as well, for the sake of doing it. I don't think that's the way we should be deciding this.
And I want to be clear as to why I can't support that. And we throw the word equity around, but equity means lifting up the smallest with the highest need in a time. And so that's what we're doing. And we acknowledge that Salinas is the biggest city, already gets the biggest share, but that's not the reason I can't support it. The reason, just to be frank, is because the first ask was to fund a future phase. And then we pivoted around the word, say, well, if that's not how it's working, let me pivot around it and find a way to get. That is my concern, is how it was phrased, given the conversation we're having today and what the dollars are intended for. Because that was the first way. If it was phrased differently initially, maybe, but to me, it looks like we're pivoting on the spot to try to access the dollars, when the argument for equity was the main reason for adding the other two pieces. So for me, that's the issue and why I can't support the addition.
Well, my apologies for not being able to articulate it properly. This caught me a little bit off guard because we seemed like it was just gonna get approved, but then there was all these additions. If there's a discussion about if it's only 38,000 as opposed to 150,000, that's probably another discussion. But, you know, I don't think the city should be penalized because I wasn't able to articulate properly since I was just trying to pivot. But I think what Wendy said is this is more of a political decision than a policy-based decision. But
So with that, I'm just gonna do another time check. It is 11 o'clock. We still have a handful of other really important items to get to. We have a substitute motion on the floor. I'm gonna do a roll call vote if we can move forward, unless there's any other pressing discussion to be had. We'll do a roll call vote.
District 1 Supervisor Alejo. District 2 Supervisor Church.
I'm gonna
Abstain. District 3 Supervisor Lopez. District 4 Supervisor Askew. District 5 Supervisor Daniels. City of Carmel by the Sea. City of Delray Oaks. City of Gonzales.
No.
City of King City.
No.
City of Monterey.
No.
City of Salinas.
yes.
City of Sand City. Hey, Chair, 1, 2, 3. The motion fails.
Great, we'll move on to the original motion.
Okay. District 1 Supervisor Alejo. District 2 Supervisor Church. District 3 Supervisor Lopez. District 4 Supervisor Askew. District 5 Supervisor Daniels. City of Carmel by the Sea. City of Delray Oaks. City of Gonzales.
Aye.
City of Greenfield. City of King City.
Aye.
City of Monterey. City of Salinas. City of Sand City. Chair, the motion passes.
Great, thank you. All right. Thank you for the robust discussion, and thank you for the work that you did on this project. And like I said, to all of us to make sure we're going back and talking to our cities so that we're prepared for the next round of the next cycle of competitive grant projects for regional surface transportation program funds. Okay, moving right along. We have up next, and I'm just going to do a time check on this one. It's 11 o'clock now. We do have we will need, is everyone able to stay until noon? Because we do need to get direction on closed session.
Specifically the cities, I need you for quorum,
We
every last one of you.
need everything.
So everyone can say, we're not going to lose anyone else.
We'll have a closed session and we'll have a very brief special session afterwards.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, cool. So then we'll
Wait,
do.
hold on, he's
Oh.
saying something. I think we can adjourn and then come back if.
We don't have an action until, for a few minutes here. Informational item. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we're gonna continue. We'll do our item number 7, which is our regional Fort Ord Regional Trail and Greenway segments that are currently in progress, and this is an update item. You're up
back.
again, thank you.
All right, so it's been a little while since we've given you guys an update, so here we are. So next, oh, I have it. All right, so we are gonna just go through the 4-tag vision, remind you all, and then we'll talk about the Measure X contribution to the 4-tag project. And then I'll give some project updates and we'll talk a little bit about next steps. So 4-tag is proposed as a 28-mile regional trail network. This will be an active transportation route that will serve as a safe pedestrian and bicycle corridor connecting Seaside, Marina, Delray Oaks, Monterey, and unincorporated community to California State University Monterey Bay and the Fort Ord National Monument and the Monterey Bay Sanctuary Scenic Trail. This trail is envisioned as a 12-foot paved path, ADA accessible, bicycle and pedestrian trail with an open space buffer on either side. 5.15 miles of trail are currently in progress. The Canyon Del Rey segment in Delray Oaks is 1.5 miles, and that is the segment down here. This is currently in construction. The California Avenue segments in Marina here is currently in design, and the Jerry Smith Trailhead segment is 2.25 miles, and it is also currently in design. So Measure X FORTAG has dedicated funding through Measure X, and the total contribution over the 30-year period is $24 million. To date, TAMC staff has won more than $25 million of state and federal funds by utilizing $15.4 million of the Measure X as grant match funds. So we've been very successful winning grants in the past, and we will continue to apply for funding to construct the whole 28-mile network. So the first segment that we will talk about today is Canyon Del Rey, here in the red box. Like I said, this segment is currently in construction. So the Canyon Del Rey segment of FORTAG begins at the corner of 218 and Fremont Boulevard and continues along State Route 218. At the back of Safeway, it leaves the highway right-of-way and heads down to Work Memorial Park. It continues through Work Memorial Park, past the tennis courts and Butterfly Garden to Angeles Way, and along Angeles Way, there are no improvements. At 218, rather than an at-grade crossing, we will construct an undercrossing to reach the other side of the highway at Frog Pond. From the Frog Pond, there'll be a ramp to get back to street level, then along 218 for a short distance to Carlton Drive. It continues along Carlton Drive to Plumas Drive, ending at Delray Woods Elementary School. So we've made significant progress with PG&E in the last several weeks. Construction of the Soldier Pile retaining wall in the Frog Pond began on August 20th. And construction is to be completed by fall 2026. So this is some very exciting news for this project. This is Delray Park. This project is constructing the underpass at State Route 218, pouring the abutments. This is at Plumas Avenue. And this is a photo of the contractor supporting the PG&E pole while we construct the Soldier Pile wall. So the next segment we'll talk about is California Avenue in the city of Marina. TAMC recently hosted 2 community meetings with more than 100 community members attending those meetings. The project is at 90% designs and is expected to begin construction in July 2026. During refinement of the 30% designs, the design team had to realign the trail to avoid impacts to the federally protected plant species Monterey Gilia. So the segment begins at Patton Parkway here, heads south on the west side of California Avenue at Imgen Parkway. It then crosses to the east side of 5th Avenue here. At 8th Street, it then heads north through open space and then crosses at Imgen Road, and that will connect to the future Jerry Smith Trailhead segment. So this project is impacted by the federally protected plant species Monterey Gilia. During the refinement of the 30% designs, like I said, the project team met with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife to discuss the project and understand the agency's view and on the mitigation and to develop a mitigation strategy for the open space area adjacent to the proposed pedestrian bridge. CDFW explained that impacting known occurrences of the Sangillia would, if avoidable, would not be acceptable, and the agency considered the entire open space area as seed bank for Sangillia, so mitigation would be required. Therefore, the alignment was rerouted to avoid all known occurrences. And this is the existing alignment, and as you can see, here are known occurrences. We had proposed a bicycle and pedestrian overcrossing that would impact these known occurrences. So in addition to the trail realignment, the project will include a new at-grade crossing instead of the bicycle and pedestrian overcrossing. Due to the topography on either side of the roadway, the sandy soils, the resulting engineering and environmental constraints, and then the cost implications, the bridge was not going to be feasible. The Imgen Road crossing will now have a pedestrian hybrid beacon, which is user activated and requires vehicles to come to a complete stop until the lights stop blinking. Pedestrian hybrid beacons are an intermediate option between a flashing beacon, a rectangular rapid flashing beacon, and a full traffic signal as they assign right-of-way and positive stop control. The pedestrian hybrid beacon was determined to be the best option due to the speed and sight distance limitation on Imgen Road. These are some concepts of what the trail will look like for the California Avenue segment. On the left-hand side, this is what it may look like in the open space area. This would be along California Avenue, and then here in front of the Equestrian Center on Fifth Avenue. The California Avenue segment will have 4 crossings, roadway crossings, and the design team is working hard to ensure that these crossings are safe, accessible, and comfortable for all trail users. So these crossings would be Patton Parkway here at number 1, Imgen Parkway at 2. This is the 8th Street, 5th Avenue intersection, and then at Imgen Road, which would connect to the future Jerry Smith Trailhead segment. So next up is the Jerry Smith Trailhead segment. This is 2.25 miles connecting to the National Monument. So this segment of FORTAG is being implemented by the Federal Highway Administration. It is at 70% designs. This project was also realigned to avoid habitat mitigation lands that are preserved as part of the Imgen Parkway project. We do expect public outreach to begin in June 2027 for this project and construction to be completed by July 2029. So here is a map of the Jerry Smith Trailhead segments. The segment will head south on 6th Avenue and then across on Engineering Equipment Road, and then it will cross Intergarrison and connect to the Jerry Smith Trail corridor. This is a bird's eye view looking west where the start of the trail near Imgen Road would be. This is where the crossing at Intergarrison Road will be. And then once you end up at the Jerry Smith Trail corridor, you'll connect to the existing trail system in the National Monument. These are wayfinding signs. We recently completed a FORTAG network wayfinding sign plan. And these are example signs that will be consistent among the whole network with all of the segments that we are constructing. So next steps are to finalize the construction for the Canyon Del Rey segment, finalize the design and construction for both the California Avenue and Jerry Smith Trailhead segments. We will continue to apply for grants to fund the remaining segments and fund the full network. And we do plan to do an outreach campaign shortly to determine segment prioritization. And I hope that you all saw your coasters that were on the desk. These are made from seed paper, so you can plant them. You can use them with your coffee mug and then eventually plant them. So that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. And I know we've punted on this presentation a couple of months, so I'm glad we were able to get it in today. Any comments or questions, board engagement? We'll start this way and move this way. So Scott.
All right. Yeah, so I'm learning more and more how challenging it is to identify and deconflict utility issues. And I just want to thank the entire team for everything that you did to get the construction or the issue with PG&E in the Frog Pond resolved so we can stay on schedule with that. I also want to thank the team for their responsiveness to providing updates so that we can pass them along to our residents. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Any comments? We'll move through this way. No. All right, we'll open it up to public comment. Any public comment on our FORTAG update? I think I messed that up. I don't see anything. No, okay, I'm not seeing any hands raised. Great. Do you want to just briefly mention that there is a spot on the website where anyone who wants to receive updates on any of the segments can get updates?
Sure, the QR code on the back of the coaster will take you to the website where you can sign up for project updates on any of the segments.
And there are weekly updates being posted.
Those are for the Canyon Del Rey segment, so make sure to sign up for that on that page. Yeah.
Great. So thank you. So lots of information being pushed out to any interested resident, weekly updates on project status. So doing a great job of keeping people informed as things move forward. And again, a huge thank you to the voters of Monterey County who included this particular initiative in the Measure X funding, which is literally why it's been able to move forward. So thank you for the update and for the work. Yeah, we appreciate it. And thank you to the residents of Del Rey Oaks for allowing FORTAG to continue in the city. And we look forward to celebrating when the initial segment is completed. All right, thanks. Okay, I did public comment, so let's move on to our reports from our transportation providers. Caltrans gave a report. Is there any further report from Caltrans?
Yes, this is Brandy Ryder. Good morning, Chair and Directors. I have just a couple of updates. They're both project related. So the first project I wanted to give a brief update on is the State Route 68 Automated Traffic Signal Control pilot project. So a couple of things. It was mentioned that we're working in partnership with TAMC staff on a cooperative agreement addendum. So we did receive comments back from TAMC and we're incorporating those comments. I will say that when we deal with cooperative agreements, they do require a Caltrans legal review, so that often can take time. And so we're navigating through that, but we did receive comments and we are collaborating with TAMC staff on the language for that cooperative agreement. With that being said, the procurement of the hardware for the ATSC system is not dependent on the cooperative agreement. So we are moving forward with procurement of that system, of that hardware. And so that likewise goes through the State Department of Procurement and Contracts. So it takes time to navigate through that procurement process, but we are working through it. And our goal is to have the system installed and operational by the end of this calendar year, so the end of 2025. So that is the update on Highway 68. And then I just wanted to give an update on the Regent slide. You may have seen some recent postings or press releases related to this. We've been actively working on the site. Thousands of shear dowels, which are about 60-foot steel bars, are being drilled and grouted into the cut slope above the active working area. Since mid-July, crews have installed an additional 1,500 dowels, and that brings the overall total number of installed shear dowels to 3,500 along the slope. Excavation work is advancing with the combined use of both conventional as well as our remote controlled equipment. Favorable weather has been on our side, so it's allowed our crews to continue working 7 days a week. So we're continuing to work as the weather allows. And then Caltrans, we are hoping to announce an estimated reopening date for Highway 1 in mid-September. So we are continuing to evaluate the work that's being done out there, and we're fast approaching a timeline to where we can come up with a reopening date of the highway. And with that, I'll close my report, and if there's any questions that folks have for me, I'm available to answer.
Thank you, Brandy. That's a lot of information. We really appreciate all the work you guys are doing here in Monterey County. We'll go next to the Monterey Peninsula Airport. Do we have anyone from the airport? I'm not seeing anyone from the airport. Are you seeing anyone?
No, I'm not seeing.
Okay. If you're with us from the airport and can speak up, I'm not seeing anyone on our list of participants. Okay, we'll move right along to Monterey Salinas Transit. Carl is in the room with us.
Thank you, Chair. Just quickly, we finished up our fiscal year, June 30th, and we've had a strategic planning workshop with the Board of Directors, setting the course for the next 4 years. We'll be fine tuning those recommendations in the coming months. We saw a 7% increase in ridership last year. And we are at now in the city of Salinas at 100% of pre-COVID ridership. So we've recovered 100% in the city of Salinas, which is great news. City of Salinas now accounts for 44% of every MST trip countywide. So that's the results of our better bus network, pushing more service into communities where transit is needed the most. And I think that's a great success. This Labor Day weekend coming up, we'll see the end of the MST trolley for another season. Look forward to someday returning that to a year-round service like we once had. But we understand the constraints that City of Monterey has with its funding, and we'll wait patiently. College is back in session, and our partnerships with Hartnell, Monterey Peninsula College, and CSUMB are back in force with their College Pass program. I want to thank this board for approving the funding for the Hartnell Pass program. What that is it's allowing us to implement technology in the college ID that will allow our readers for contactless payment. The college ID will have an open architecture that will be able to be read by our contactless readers, that then Monterey Peninsula College and then CSUMB will be able to take advantage of. And once that's done, we are going to open that technology up to every community college, state college, and University of California in the state, who can then partner with their own local transit operators. So this investment is going to have huge returns statewide. So thank you for that.
Fantastic, thank you. And we'll do an update from, I see David Frisbee with me here on Zoom from the Air Resources District.
Yes, good morning. Yeah, Dave Frisbee, Monterey Bay Air Resources District. We have our electric vehicle incentive program, which incentivizes the purchase of new and used electric vehicles. It's available to residents of San Benito, Santa Cruz, and Monterey counties. It's in full swing now, so we've got $500,000 available. About a quarter of that is obligated already. So, and the program's only been open since July. So now's a good time to buy an electric vehicle, especially with the ending of the tax credits coming up at the end of September. We also have our motor vehicle emission reduction grant program. The application period is closed. We've got several applications for EV infrastructure. We've got a transit bus replacement request from Monterey Salinas Transit. And let's see, we've got a couple street sweeper requests in the city of San City, and some e-bike projects in Pajaro. So we're looking forward to evaluating those projects and bringing them to our board in October. That's been the end of my report. Thank you.
Great, thank you for joining us today. Any comments, questions for our transportation providers who are with us today? I'm not seeing any here from our board. Any public comment on our transportation provider reports this morning? I'm not seeing any public comments, so we'll close that. We really appreciate having you with us and engaging with us. And I think it brings value to have the of your participation, to hear our reports and then to be a part of, sort of the larger, TMZ, team. So thank you for spending your time here, today. So moving right along to our reports on meetings attended by board members at Transportation Agency expense as required by state law. We'll pass it over to Todd.
We have one report to make.
So Kate Daniels, Fifth District Monterey County Supervisor. And on the 15th, I was able to attend with TAMC the Coast Rail Coordinating Council meeting in Los Angeles at the metro facility that was at Union Station. It was awesome. I really enjoyed the fact that I got to do that, and I got to participate in a tour the day before at a hydrogen train maintenance facility called the Aerozimu Maintenance Facility in San Bernardino County. And it was also really, really enlightening and insightful. And I'm glad that I got to participate. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to go to that meeting.
Thank you. That's our only one. All right. And then our executive director's report.
All right, thank you. I'll try to be quick. I'll start off by introducing Blythe Wilson. Blythe, could you stand up just and wave to everyone? Blythe is a student intern. She's a student at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and she's actually been working with us since the spring, but this is the first meeting she's been able to attend and join in person. So appreciate having Blythe on the team. And then wanted to note that next Wednesday, the third TAMC team and some other partners are going to be out in Castroville putting down paint and other features as part of the North Monterey County Safe Routes to School pilot project that's being implemented for out there, and it will be in place for approximately a month. Give the community a chance to see what could be the future with permanent installation, and I think vote on it and give their feedback by the end of the month. And then finally, wrap up with recognition of Eloise Rodriguez. This is our 25th anniversary with the agency. Normally, we do these recognitions in January, and we'll probably do it again for Eloise in January, but I just want to make note because it's such a milestone. So thank you, Eloise.
Thank you.
And that concludes my report.
Right. Thank you. And Eloise, 25 years. Wow, that's incredible. And you're still here and you're still hanging. I think you've exceeded, I don't know, now that Dave Potter isn't with us on the board, I'm not sure if anyone's got you beat 25 years. That's incredible. So congratulations and thank you for choosing to work with TMZ.
Yes, great team.
We appreciate you. Okay, let's see here. Does anyone have announcements and or comments on matters that they wish to put on future transportation agency agendas? Kate?
So I'm not sure if this is a future agenda item, but because we heard from Mr. Stump, I'm wondering if there is an AI or adaptive signalization update, if there's an update on the agreement with Caltrans, and if there's an implementation timeline.
Brandy Ryder in her Caltrans report did cover that a little bit.
Okay.
And they are in the process of acquiring the equipment, and the co-op agreement between TAMC and Caltrans has been with legal for months now. So we're waiting for their feedback so we can finalize it. And installation is scheduled to be by the end of the year.
And to Ms. Ryder, I'm so sorry I was not in the room and missed your update, but thank you for that as well.
Luis?
Just for a future item, I haven't had a chance to talk to Mayor Carbone, but I did talk to Todd Muck about it, and this is the trail in San City to Seaside, and it came to us a few months ago, but the language was that we were going to try to minimize conflicts with leaseholders, and the leaseholders I'm talking about are the many auto dealerships along that area, but now there seems to be a conflict, and maybe at some point in the near future, we could revisit on what that is, and is it possible ways to troubleshoot some of those concerns?
Anyone else? Mary Ann?
I mean, just comment on that a little bit. I just have had some discussion.
Well, and just to be clear, this is just a request for items to come.
Okay,
To
yeah.
be placed for future, not a discussion of those items.
Okay, no comment.
Okay. Any other requests for items for future agendas? Okay, thank you. Okay, and then we will do public comment. We're gonna go to closed session. We have 2 items on closed session. Is there any public comment on our closed session before we adjourn to closed session? Any public comment? Nope. Any public comment online? We're gonna be adjourning to closed session. We have 2 items on closed session. Anyone on Zoom wish to comment on closed session items? I'm not seeing any hands raised, so we'll close public comment on our closed session. And just for clarity's purposes, we did have a very last minute issue come up. So so we ended up scheduling a second meeting as a special meeting. So immediately following this meeting, when we adjourn, we'll be opening a second special meeting following this meeting, which will open as a open meeting with action, with going into closed session, and then I'm just going to pass it to council to explain, because it got a little convoluted for me too.
It's been a busy couple weeks for my office and staff, so I really appreciate everybody's accommodating us. What's going to happen is we're going to be adjourning into closed session. We're going to be talking at length. We're going to come out of closed session and adjourn the regular meeting. Because of the timing of all this, we're going to be then entering into a special meeting. There's only a single item for the board's deliberation, but this is an unusual thing, but just timing, we need to get moving on this as quickly as possible, as I will elaborate in just one moment. So thank you.
All right, thank you. So with that, we'll hope to be done here by noon still, but if we could quickly move to closed session, thank you. Call to order.
District 1 Supervisor Alejo. District 2 Supervisor Church.
It's a reconvene roll call.
District 3 Supervisor Lopez. District 4 Supervisor Askew.
Present.
District 5 Supervisor Daniels. Present. City of Carmel by the Sea.
Present.
City of Delray Oaks. City of Gonzales. City of Greenfield. City of King City. City of Marina. City of Monterey. City of Pacific Grove. City of Salinas. City of Sand City. City of Seaside. City of Soledad. Chair, we do have a quorum.
Okay, so that was our reconvene, and we have county council to report actions taken in closed session.
No actions to report out of closed session.
All right, with that, we're adjourning from our regular meeting. And we were adjourned, and we're now convening our special meeting of Wednesday, August 27th, 2025. It is 11:53, and do we have to do a whole roll call to order again? I guess we do.
Let the record reflect